this June 4th at 2 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started, and we'll start off our meeting with a moment of silence, and then we'll move to Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Next, we'll have roll call.
Commissioner Perdue?
Here.
Commissioner Robbins?
Present.
Commissioner Sassi?
Present.
Commissioner Goey?
Present.
Commissioner Knight?
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Present.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. And before we get started on our first opportunity for public comment, I do want to let you know that we do have a translator with us today. So if you do need assistance with translation services, you are welcome to come forward and let us know. And I'll invite her up right now to introduce herself so that folks know who she is.
Hello, my name is Yolanda. I am an interpreter for Spanish language. Mi nombre es Yolanda. Le interpreto en el idioma español para quien lo necesite. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so next that will take us to our first opportunity for public comment. There are 3 opportunities today. The first one is public comment on something that we're voting on. So it's on action items or agenda items that we talked about in earlier in one of our standing committee meetings. We do have one, technically 2, but I'll call them together, scheduled public hearings, and that's on a project at 11 Lion Street, and it's for the Vandenberg Center redevelopment project. And then, Commissioners, we do have 2 items related to that, but since it's for the same project, we'll do those together. So if you're here to be heard on that scheduled public hearing, I'm going to ask you to stay put until we open that up. And then at the end of the meeting is public comment on any other topic. So I'll open up the first opportunity for public comment. Again, this is specific to agenda items. We ask that you come forward, come up to this microphone here, share your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. And then we ask that you be really explicit on what item you're speaking to. So if you're talking about a fiscal item, let us know what item that is, or a CD or cow. So is there anyone here to be heard on an agenda item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close that, and that will take us to approval of our minutes. Commissioners, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting on May 21st?
Move. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications, and we have several before us today.
First one is communication received from Bruce Tinker, Grand Rapids Civic Theater Executive Director, expressing concerns for adjusting parking rates.
That is received and filed.
Communication received from the Arts and Cultural Collective Grand Rapids outlining priorities and hopes for moving forward with the Arts and Culture Economic Impact Study.
That's received and filed.
Communication received from Jesse Bernal regarding their resignation from Community Relations Commission.
That is referred to our Committee on Appointments.
Communication received from Andy Johnson regarding the resignation from Vital Streets Oversight Commission.
That is also referred to our Committee on Appointments.
Communication received from Mark Baker, Soft Lights Foundation President regarding the FDA decision not to regulate LED products.
That's received and filed.
Communication received from Marsha Plavkin regarding a Federal Trade Commission complaint.
That's received and filed.
And 47 communications received expressing support for dropping the charges against 4 protesters arrested on May 15, 2024 in downtown Grand Rapids.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to reports of city officers.
First one is a report of bond sale, $72,770,000, Series 2024 capital improvement bonds for Scribner and Amphitheater.
Those are received and filed.
The city clerk submitted copies of their general retirement system annual actuarial evaluation for the year ending December 31, 2023.
That's received and filed.
Comptroller's warrant report for the period of May 8, 2024 through May 21, 2024 in the amount of $17,626,870.89 and the monthly travel in fund reports.
Those are received and filed.
And finally, the treasurer's report for a period of May 7, 2024 through May 21, 2024.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today in one of our standing committee meetings where there was a unanimous vote. So today with one voice vote, we'll adopt those items. Commissioners, can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, and Commissioners, we do have one item removed from consent, and this was removed so that we can allow one of our colleagues to abstain. Can I get that resolution read?
A resolution to approve an agreement with Seating Justice Grand Rapids in the amount of $711,364.18 to serve underserved communities, invest in business development, facilitate employment opportunities, and provide grants to local community in accordance with the city's social equity policy.
All right, can I get a motion?
Moved. Support?
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner O'Connor, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As most of you know, we've been working on cannabis stuff for a while, and as part of the initial cannabis adoption for some zoning changes, we set up a Grand Rapids nonprofit called Seating Justice, which was initially funded with $50,000, and this will now transfer $711,364.18 into the fund, both from some general fund reserves that we had set aside for that, as well as the payments for the MyVita program that folks utilized to determine the outcomes that they were going to commit to as part of getting their zoning approval. And so this is the first big funding round to that nonprofit group, so that they can start working on addressing the harms that the war on drugs had caused to people.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions, Commissioner?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. In addition to supporting this, I did just have one quick question. I know the state has changed one of the license types, I believe, for the micro business license, which applies to just one company within our city in order to provide for some additional flexibility and feasibility for their business model. So just in addition to supporting this, I'd be curious to see if the staff had some capabilities to look into what that language might look like to update for Love's Cannabis.
Okay, thanks. I know other commissioners have brought this to our attention as well. Again, this is a separate issue. That's a separate issue than what's before us today to vote on. Commissioners, any additional thoughts? Commissioner O'Connor?
Yeah, and I know that it's separate, but I too support Commissioner Robbins and the desire to just look at that very targeted approach to, it wasn't a license type that the state had on the table at the time, but I think given the changes we have and the desire to have locally owned businesses in that space, this is a way to ensure the sustainability and future growth and potential future opportunities for other locally owned folks to get into that space, because that license type, as originally adopted, was quite restrictive, and so the small change, I think, provides them sustainability going forward and gives potential local operators a chance to be in that space and be sustainable.
Okay, all right. I think we'll have city manager work with staff on what a minor technical change would be to allow that, and we can discuss that at a later date. So back to the question at hand, this is for the Seating Justice Grand Rapids to transfer funds to them. I know a number of staff have worked with that team. I served on that board initially. I know Mr. Brandon Davis and Phil and Molly and others did a lot of work to help make this happen and put this organization in place. So I just want to say thank you publicly to all of them, and then to those who were appointed to this board who are carrying that on. One of those individuals that were appointed to the board when I stepped down was Commissioner Isasi, which is why she has stepped out of the room and is going to abstain from this vote. Commissioners, any other questions or comments on this? Commissioner?
Just also want to echo my thanks for all the work done so far on this. I was not around this table when this was created, but I have been briefed on quite a bit of the backstory. I'm excited to see dollars go back into community. In terms of the other ask that was brought up during comments, I'm not familiar with the details of that, and so we'll welcome an informational piece to understand kind of what the challenge is. But also I think it's really important that we honor the decisions that we've made and the values of equity. And I know that we were a leader in the state when it came to kind of coming up with our own policies. I want to make sure that we don't backtrack on them either. Thank you.
Agreed. Well said. All right. With that, I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Oh, and I should say one abstention. Clerk, did you write that down?
We got it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next that will take us to ordinances to be adopted. We have the first one before us. It's a salary ordinance amending section 4.2 of ordinance 2022-33, range change for equipment maintenance supervisor. Can I get a motion? So moved. So moved, and did I hear support? Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Perdue, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So at the request of the Fleet Maintenance Department, the classification of Equipment Maintenance Supervisor was reviewed. The job description for this classification was reevaluated in order to better align the job responsibilities, requirements, and the pay with current conditions and to align with other supervisory positions within the city. And so it was found that an increase from range 12 to range 14 in the bargaining unit was appropriate, and that is what is before us today. And this was previously approved by the Civil Service Board on May 14th.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Isasi.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Purdue.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Yes.
Commissioner Goey.
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, and Commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to our second ordinance before us tonight.
That's a salary ordinance amending Section 3.2 of Ordinance 2022-40, new classification, Chief Sustainability Officer.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. I'll turn to Commissioner Purdue on this one again.
Thank you. So due to a resignation of the leader currently in the Performance and Sustainability Officer role, the Executive Office reevaluated that classification and decided to split this job into two, carving out sustainability as a standalone role. The Executive Office is looking at their current roster to evaluate how the strategy and performance responsibilities of the role will be distributed into the future. The classification, this is a new role in a new range at 20U, and was created after that reevaluation that I previously mentioned. This was previously reviewed and approved by the Civil Service Board on May 14th.
Great, thank you. All right, Commissioners, any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, it's roll call. I'm sorry. Thank you, Clerk.
Yep. Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Purdue.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Yes.
Commissioner Goey.
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi.
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes. And can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, that will take us to our third ordinance before us today.
It's an ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2023-15 for fiscal year 2024, Amendment Number 12.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Isasi, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. City Clerk keeps giving me these long ones, but anyways. First item is for our public library. This is for a FY24 staffing request. And so this was also approved by the Board of Library Commissioners. Number two is for our Community Development Department. This is American Rescue Plan Act for the FY 2025 Neighborhood Investment Plan that we have every year. And that's an increase of $1.5 million. Number three is for the engineering department. This is expansion of our Grand Rapids Public Museum. And so it's transfer of existing appropriation, the amount of $2.5 million from the Capital Improvement Fund. Number four is for the fire department, another fiscal year 24 appropriation is so use of the general fund contingent account. Number five is for the police department. This is for MCOL's Public Safety Academy Assistance Programs. This is to recognize and appropriate anticipated reimbursement in the amount of $191,384.22 for 8 police recruits. Number six is for the engineering department. This is for our Grand River Revitalization Project Grant Award. This is to recognize and appropriate a grant reimbursement of $7 million from MEDC. Number seven is also the engineering department for 1500 Scribner Avenue and amphitheater capital improvement bonds. Number eight is for the executive office. This is participatory budgeting awardees evaluation and technical services agreement with Grand Valley in the amount of $75,000. Number nine is police department FY24 appropriation. Amount of $350,000, budget overages, and fund critical department needs, and that is it.
All right.
All the items.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote today.
Commissioner Purdue.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Yes.
Commissioner Goey?
Yes.
Commissioner Asasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes, and Commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our scheduled public hearing. So as I indicated, I'd like to take these two together. This is a public hearing on the project proposed at the Vandenberg Center. This Vandenberg Center redevelopment project is located at 111 Lion Street Northwest, and they're coming before us for a brownfield plan amendment as well as a neighborhood enterprise zone. So what we'll do is we'll start with Mr. Kluster to tell us about this project. I know it's already been before our Brownfield Authority. I see representatives from the project here today. We'll invite them to come up afterwards, see if you all have any questions. And then if you are here today to be heard on this public hearing, I'll invite you to come up afterwards. So Mr. Kluster, you want to tell us about this project?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would love to. This is the conversion of the 111 Lion Fifth Third building behind me, converting 7 floors to residential. So 2 public hearings, one on a First Amendment to a brownfield plan, and the other on the question of establishing a neighborhood enterprise zone to support the project as well. The First Amendment to the brownfield plan is being proposed and recommended to you by the Brownfield Authority for the purposes of revising the scope of the project and the eligible costs associated with the project. Under the First Amendment, the 200 Monroe building, which is also part of Vandenberg Center, was rehabilitated, and there were significant improvements to the ground floor along Lion Street. And that involved nearly $80 million of investment and the retention of 143 jobs and the creation of nearly 100 new jobs with that first phase. So this is amending the scope to convert the intended use from commercial to residential for the 111 Lion building, and to take advantage of the amendments to the Brownfield Act that allow residential developments that are proposing to income restrict portions of the building for the duration of the brownfield plan to add additional costs associated with the cost of reducing that rent. And so what's proposed is about $15 million of eligible costs to be reimbursed to the project over the remaining 20 years of the brownfield plan. The residential conversion is about 90,000 square feet of vacant office space and comes with an estimated cost of about $23 million just for the residential portion. The developer and their general contractor are targeting nearly $3.5 million to be subcontracted with minority women-owned or micro-local subcontractors. That is about 15% of that estimated cost. 28 of the units, a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, would be income restricted to households earning at or below 100% of area median income. So that is below the targeted rent for the remainder of the units at the development, and about $11.5 million of the eligible costs are associated with the housing development activities that are now eligible activities under the Brownfield plan. So as was noted, this is recommended to you by the Brownfield Authority. The Downtown Development Authority is also participating in this project and has approved a tax increment revenue sharing agreement with the Brownfield Authority, which is also a new provision that we are able to take advantage of for projects downtown due to the recent amendments. So I have Sam Cummings representing CWD 111 Lion and Jared Belka, his counsel from Warner Norcross here to talk a little bit more about the project that they hope to get started this year.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sam Cummings. This is Jared Belka. I want to also introduce Max Lambert, who's a Northsider. He's a junior at Taylor University, and he is our intern. He's been with us for 4 years, not only in the summer, but every break. Max shows up and swings a hammer, unplugs a toilet, or he does it all. So anyway, thank you for having us. This is pretty exciting because Michigan is kind of leading the nation with this, and as usual, Grand Rapids has the opportunity to lead Michigan. This, as we've talked about individually and collectively before, we know what the office market looks like. We know what the office in general. We know what it looks like specifically in urban centers. And the ability to convert office space to residential that has a affordable component and the municipality that succeeds in that will be winning significantly. So we're very excited about this. We, as many of you know, we struck out a few times trying to lease this to a corporate headquarters. But we think that the fourth time is the charm, and actually converting it to residential is a better result, not only for this block, but also the city in general. So we're really excited about it. We've done a lot of work on demographics. We intend to create a community around 111 Lyon with added amenities. As many of you know too, there's a lot of vacant space below the plinth, which we intend to make some investments in amenities and create a community within a community at 111 Lyon. The details, I don't probably need to drill for oil on any of those unless you have any specific questions about any of that. And certainly Jared and I are here to answer any questions that you might have. The building is in the air and the space is vacant. So we could deliver this in 12 to 14 months after construction starts. And, theoretically welcome new residents to 111 Lyon in the fall, winter of 2025.
Great. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? City Manager?
Mayor, thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Cummings and Mr. Kluster for this work and how this is a national trend that we're seeing across urban cities that have to repurpose large commercial spaces to residential, and hopefully this could be one of many examples how we could do more of these kind of projects in our urban core. So I appreciate the work that went into this.
Yeah, thanks. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
the state making changes to the legislation to allow projects like this to be eligible.
May I quickly thank the City of Grand Rapids Economic Development Department and, John O. Jess. You guys, much appreciated. There was a lot of work for many years on figuring this project out. It was not just in the last 3 months. So we're really grateful. As usual, this city is a great example of everybody in the boat with an oar. So we're excited about this one.
It's an important building with a rich history right here. We literally can see it out our window.
Well, actually, that's super interesting. I mean, the 1967, this Vandenberg Center, although, we're critical of its design today because it is not the way we would design a city today, but this area is really what began the renaissance of downtown Grand Rapids, and it's what kept corporate headquarters. When other cities were fleeing under the Federal Highway Act, we retained them. And Old Kent Bank then made a significant commitment to the city to stay here and do this. And then, as we all know, some of the firsts that got La Grande Vitesse here shortly thereafter. So it is very historic.
Yeah, it is. There's some great images of it. So if you haven't seen them, I encourage you to take a look at them. All right, with that, Commissioners, any additional questions for Jared or Sam?
Mayor.
Yeah, Commissioner?
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Cummings, I want to thank you also for your company's intentional inclusion plan. I think that's a great reflection of the diversity that we have within our city. And I think these kinds of plans will also attract more diversity and more talent of color coming into the city of Grand Rapids. So thank you for that effort.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so is there anyone here who wishes to be heard on these applications? Again, this is for Brownfield as well as an NEZ, Neighborhood Enterprise Zone.
Sure, why not? there's a word that the mayor will get mad at me for using for a way I get described, and I would be doubly that if I didn't come up here and say I'm glad to see this. I've been so tired of listening to pundits say that you can't do this. And it makes me very proud to see somebody do that in the city I live in, to basically show them that they were wrong, that these kinds of conversions can, must, and will happen. So I really appreciate this city leading that charge. It's really sickening to watch people dismiss innovation without thinking it through and looking into it. We can debate the details. We can talk about the levels of rent. We can talk about the housing crisis. But they're doing a thing that some of us have been sitting around for 3-4 years trying to say, you're going to need to do this. Hello, real estate market, you're going to need to adapt. And these guys are actually going to do it. And I think that's a really good move. And I want to say that I appreciate it, because if I come in here and critique something, I'm going to come in here and say when it's being done well. So, yeah, that's about it. And I'll be back later.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leverett. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard? Okay, I'm going to close that public hearing, and Commissioners, this will be referred back to our Committee of the Whole. All right, with that, that will take us to our last opportunity for public comment. Again, this is an opportunity to come and be heard on any other item that you wish to speak to. We do ask you to take a look at our meeting expectations and refrain from a number of things, including clapping and cursing and using derogatory language. If you are disruptive, we'll ask you to leave. Again, we ask that you come up to this podium, share your name, the city that you live in, and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marcia Plafkin. In some quarters, I'm known as Marcia Plafkin Hurwitz. I live in Hudsonville, and I'm here regarding problems that I'm having with the court, also with law enforcement. I noticed on the description for the FTC complaint, I would add you to amend it. It says, number 6, Marcia Plafkin regarding a Federal Trade Commission complaint, but it's against the city attorney. It's against the courts. And specifically, I also want to talk about clerical misconduct as part of this problem. I'm looking at cases. My FTC complaint addresses 2 cases that were filed in 2015. One was through the 61st District Court. The other is through probate, a mental health case against me. These were both opened with police reports filed by Rabbi David Krishef. I was unaware of it at the time. I've only recently discovered the police reports, still trying to get unredacted versions so I can really actually understand what they say. Long story short, I'm trying to close the probate case, and the clerks are harassing me. For example, today, and I didn't see this also listed, I was over at the probate court attempting to file a withdrawal of fee waiver application from yesterday, and a petition to close that I filed with my petition to close the case pursuant MCL 330.143 for parenthetically 5. The court clerk misled me into thinking I had to file a fee waiver. I don't believe that was correct. That's why last night I drafted this document revoking it. Today when I went there, they harassed me, they called police, they had 3 sheriffs come in uniform to frighten me, to prevent me from completing this filing of this paper and paying a $20 fee. So what I'm expecting from this committee is, first of all, protection to be able to have due process, to be able to go to the court and file the paper and not be harassed. I know I have 56 seconds left. I will say this also, as a precursor to these 2 cases, which were filed in 2015, my father and mother and I published a book, actually 3 books, called The Year of FTC and Grand Rapids Bolton Nut Company, Inc. And these books were trying to tell the story of what happened to my parents through the probate court related to our family company, which is called Grand Rapids Bolton Nut Company, Inc. So that's kind of the background. The 25-second foreground is I would appreciate your assistance so that I can move through the court process in a way that respects my rights and enables me to be successful with the filings. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Short line today. All right, so I promised you this last time, and I brought my list. So I'm coming here in praise I was going to crack a joke at the pastor's expense on that one, but he's not here. So anyway, I told you I was going to bring some good stuff to say. Last time I was here, I didn't want to hijack the overarching theme at the last meeting, urging you to drop charges on the protesters and stand up for your voice concerning the actions of Israel in Gaza. So I put this on hold, and the first thing I want to praise today is actually on that note. I need to thank Commissioner Perdue for being vocal about a willingness to entertain a resolution on that topic. Thank you, really. I would encourage you to bring it to the floor and make it a real topic so we can track your peers' actions. I'd also recommend to you that you guys all have platforms. You got email blasts, and you can make statements on your own at any time. And if you need help doing some writing, I know a guy. Next on my mind today is this actually jumped to the top of the list. There was an amazing meeting that we had at the West Grand Neighborhood Organization yesterday. A very surprisingly large amount of city staff joined our two First Ward commissioners, most of our executive committee at the board of West Grand, and several neighbors to discuss some details and concerns with the bike lane on Turner. It was an incredibly good discussion. It was a level of service and involvement that doesn't happen in a lot of places, and honestly exceeded my expectations. I actually thought a bunch of people were going to be on teams, and they all came walking through the door in person, and that was a really welcome sight and pretty impressive to our neighbors, and we've put that all over social media today to make sure people know that there was a response to neighbors' concerns. So the other night, I also wanted to give praise for that hard work you did on the budget. I know that you're funding a lot of important things. It's a lot of work to get that done. Again, like I said in the previous comment, there's plenty to talk about. We can debate details, but it's not an easy task. I'm going to challenge you in the future to find some guaranteed slices of that pie. We can debate the cop thing all we want, but I'd like to see that slice for fire department. Maybe a slice that's guaranteed to the parks. Lots of other slices to be guaranteed instead of making everybody kind of duke it out. Speaking of GRPD, there's something I've noticed in the community. The leadership keeps spreading the word about how they've changed the way they do warrants, the way they don't do no-knock warrants, and explaining this is really enlightening the population a lot. I'm doing the I told you so. Some of us have been saying this for 3-4 years, but it's good to see them out there making people realize what that is. And lastly, I'm going to thank Mr. Goey, because as much critique as you've taken face-to-face, you've stood there or sat there and said that you'd be glad to talk about the decision you made with people, and that's continuing the honorable things that you've been doing. And we don't have to agree with the choice, and we can debate the demographics of the people that convince you to run, but you've been honorable enough to sit there and have that open conversation, and that's the right thing to do, and that's good to see. So that's the list of good news from Lucas. So
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leverett. All right, others wish to be heard?
Am I allowed to hand out papers at all?
You can give them to the clerk, and he'll
Okay.
put them in the file.
Okay,
Share
awesome.
them with us.
Okay, great. My name is Skylar Hort. I am here on behalf of Love Supreme Craft Cannabis. I wanted to first thank Commissioner Robbins, O'Connor, and Goey, and actually Mr. Washington for just hearing us out before this date. I actually was not expecting you to bring this up today. So, but yeah, I'm here. We are the only micro business in Grand Rapids. We are actually one of 2 locally owned cannabis businesses in the city, and so I'm just here to first introduce myself and ask that you do look into this issue of adopting the Class A micro business in Grand Rapids. It would do wonders not only just for us, but also it would really encourage other small businesses to apply in the city, which I think would be really great. We would have more diversity. So I have a letter and information on kind of what I'm asking, and a little bit of information about what the original micro business versus the new, and a little backstory about that. So yes, anyway, just wanted to introduce myself and open up the conversation to continue discussing.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for coming. And if you want to give those
You
to...
can just give them to me and I'll distribute.
He'll take care of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close that public comment period, and I will turn to my colleagues, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Perdue. All right, Commissioner?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I mentioned this earlier and wanted to bring it up as well during our commission meeting, but we received our results for the National Community Survey this week and received a really good brief on it today during our committee of a whole, and just wanted to highlight, I know sometimes we're hard on ourselves, on our city staff, and on our community, and tend to pick apart certain issues, but it's always encouraging to me to see, a survey that's done by a very reputable organization at a national level with statistically relevant and accurate data that shows that we are doing a lot of really good things in the city. I think, as been mentioned with the city budget that we recently passed, that both reinforces a lot of the good that we're doing and addresses some of the areas in which we have more ground to make up. Just really excited to see that continue this year, and also looking forward to doing some community engagement with our neighborhood organizations surrounding the areas that we can further improve. So, have a good night.
Thanks. Commissioner?
Thank you. I just wanted to say two things. Today we have a guest. The second warders have a guest. Maze is in the audience. She's going to be a future senior at City High, and wanted to come to talk to Commissioner Knight and I about land use, and she wants to do urban planning. And so all of you all right. I was trying to find you earlier, Kristen, but I'm sure you're working on something. And so it was great to hear somebody who is at her age to be so invested in this city. And so while she might travel away, she's very interested in how Grand Rapids continues to grow. So just want to give, even though I'm a Catholic Central Cougar, support the City High students coming. And thank you for taking the time and spending a little time with Commissioner Knight and I today. And I'd love to have the opportunity to introduce her to a couple of staff members when we get done. Second, I think, is the last time we were together, we had news of, and this was at our public safety, of a homicide that occurred with a young person. And since that time, there have been other unfortunate homicides related to that. I just wanted to continue to say thank you to, I would say, a lot of different community organizations, our police department, our parks department, everyone who tries to come together to try to provide sort of solutions. But I also think that I'm also glad that at the state level, we've been working to have stricter gun laws. And so it's one of those things where we start off the year, we're in a really good spot, but just hearing these instances of young people is particularly disheartening, certainly any life that is lost. But just wanted to continue that conversation as we are engaging with a variety of individuals. I see Mr. Eric Brown from our Urban League here in the audience today too. So just that has been on my heart and mind since our last meeting, and I think it'll continue to be as we go into these continued summer months. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say a public thank you to Mr. Berkman and Mr. Washington and all those that were involved in the work to make the sidewalk happen on Collindale. It's open, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people, like more people than I thought were engaged in that project. And just to see it and see people walking down, it's really great. And I know it was a lot of work to make that happen, but it's really appreciative of the work listening and seeing that project finally come to life. It's really great. And I know that there's a lot of other exciting projects. It seems like there's a lot of misunderstanding sometimes about what the city's doing out there. There was like a recent that we got some funds to put a section of sidewalk on Colville between Walker and Richmond, and it was like the We Are Westsiders goes bananas and says, what are they doing? They're installing another bike lane. And no, the reality is we're putting a pedestrian path so kids can walk to school from a neighborhood that doesn't have access to get to C.A. Frost. And so, I know that they're doing good work, and sometimes they think there's some confusion out there, but when those projects come to life and actually happen, it's really great to see them activated. So just appreciate that.
I'm glad to see it too, because it's been on your priority list, I think, for about 8 years. So you can mark it off, Commissioner. Commissioner Knight?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Goy?
Thank you, Mayor Bliss. I know that there's been several meetings in which there were some harsh comments made and targeted towards you, and I just want to say to you, thank you for what you've done. Congratulations on receiving the Slike House Award at the Grand Rapids Economic Club. And sometimes we don't get to hear those things for our leadership and for our leaders, and I think you have certainly exemplified true leadership by receiving this award from the Grand Rapids Econ Club. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Thank you. City Clerk?
Just briefly, absentee applications for those that are on the permanent absentee application list. Those went out in the mail last week. And then also for those that are on the permanent ballot list or have done applications through the February election, ballots for the August primary will be going out at the end of this month. So look for those. Might be some confusion. Some households where one spouse or one partner in the household is on the application list and the other one's on the ballot list. So be patient as we get into this new realm. So
Thank you. City Attorney? City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, for the work. Really too excited to get the NCS survey results today, so appreciate Mr. Matthews, Ms. Riley Makovich, and Mr. Green for working on that along with our partner. Also, two of our colleagues, today was their last day, last official City Commission meeting, and they went down swinging hard on projects, and that's Allison Sutter getting the RECs across the finish line so that we will achieve our municipal renewable energy goal by the end of this year, and so I'll be one of the leaders in the state to do so. And then, as you just recently heard, Mr. Klooster, while it is the public hearing, we are well underway to make this transformational conversion of the Vandenberg Center due to, in part, his leadership and many others. So I want to thank them for that, and hopefully you all, everyone, I want to echo the sentiments around safety. Our chief is not here. He had to travel out of the city, but he and I have been in constant communication about the need to continue the digital vigilance that we've had from the community thus far, as well as be as more intentional with our community partners now that we're entering the summer months. And so hopefully we'll have more information on positive engagement efforts for our youth and the public in general. And I do echo the sentiments around the federal issue of responsible gun ownership.
Thanks, City Manager, and I'll just add with a couple things. One, I share my colleagues' concern, and I think every time, I know I speak for all of us, every time we get notification of a homicide in our city, our heart breaks, and I really appreciate, too, the leadership of our chief, but also our key community partners. I want to give a shout out to Eric and the Urban League, but really all of our nonprofits that are coming together to try to prevent violence like this from happening and tragic deaths. And we'll continue to work on that. We know it's a priority in our city. And I'm going to say my thanks as well to Mr. Jono Klooster and Allison Sutter. I've worked with both of them for a very long time. And I look around this city, Jono, and so many of these projects you've had a hand in, whether it's the affordable housing projects, to the economic development projects, to the businesses that have been able to move here and call Grand Rapids home, not just downtown, but throughout the entire city and in our neighborhoods. You've had a huge impact. And then Allison Sutter, when I was first elected, we had a lot of plans on the books to become a more renewable, sustainable city, with very few plans to actually make it happen. And with Allison here working with us at the city, we've added a solar array at Lake Michigan filtration plant. We built the biodigester. We converted our streetlights to LED streetlights. We've made all of our city buildings more energy efficient. We're getting to that renewable energy goal and set some clear goals around carbon neutrality. And Allison's been a part of all of that work and much, much more, and a leader in our state. So just want to give a huge shout out to her and all of her work in helping us move forward. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting. Have a good rest of the day.